lot of wisdom.
When I saw you yesterday, you said that I'll see you tomorrow. Right? You said, yeah, you
So we're going to do
Traffic was like, backed up here. I don't know what was going on.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everybody. We are all set. We're opening up. Okay, so I'm Judy Calogero. This is the Glens Industrial Development Agency. We have, I'm opening up our board meeting, and in a minute here, we'll also be opening up a public hearing. But first, for the board meeting today, I'd like to go down the, well, first of all, we have a quorum. All of our members are here except for Dr. John, and we think he's on his way, but, and all of our staff and advisors are here as well, and we have a bunch of guests today as well. I want to run down to 4A in the agenda item, because before we start our public hearings today, I want to, for 178 Maple Street, this is our second public hearing, and I want to repeal resolution number 41 that we adopted on October 28, 2025. There was an error in our submission about which school district the project had fallen into, and we have now corrected that. But I want to go back to that resolution and repeal that before we open up the public hearing for the second public hearing on this project. And so, any comments or questions on that?
So that was just procedural.
Procedural, yes. So procedural action on our part, and we've corrected it. Any, is there a motion to approve the repeal of resolution number 41?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? There being none, the motion is passed. Thank you for that. And I'm going to pause the other items on the board meeting and come back to that, but first I want to open up the public hearing. And so we have notified the public and all of our key members, including the Warren County chairman, obviously the mayor of Glens Falls, the various school districts, the Board of Education, the superintendent and the president, and also the Glens Falls County Council. Thank you, John. We just started. Thank you.
No.
It's okay.
Morning.
We're just going into the public hearing. Okay, and so we have submitted the notice of public hearing for both 178 Maple Street LLC and also Cooper Properties, New York LP. And we have...
Is that 76 Warren Street?
Yes, 76 Warren Street, yes. And we have people from each here today. I'm going to start with 178 Maple Street and the Maple Street LLC. And I think we're joined here today by Tom Morelli, the attorney for Brian Green, who is the developer and owner of that property. Okay. Tom, if you could just do a brief introduction to the project and then take any questions.
Sure. We're popular today.
Here.
There's one over there.
Come sit down.
Oh, it's all right.
It's a no, come sit, it's fine.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Start charging that cover.
Right, exactly.
Thanks, Tom, for joining us again.
Yes, thank you.
We like to do this just 2 times. We promise we won't do it a third, I believe.
I appreciate it. So the project is 178-180 Maple Street. It's the redevelopment of an old warehouse building. It consists of 19 residential units, 1 commercial unit. There should be, I believe the breakdown is 4 studio apartments, 14 one-bedroom apartments, and 1 two-bedroom apartment. As part of that project too, we purchased the parking, well, the parcel behind the building in order to provide adequate parking spaces and include a storm water management system. And that's pretty much the broad overview of the project, but if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
We have in our documents today also the pilot estimate that we have put together. It would be a 5-year pilot, and it shows what the tax would be due and what would be exempt and what those totals are. And if the members have any questions about that calculation or that proposal, please let me know.
I just want to remind everybody that I need to recuse myself, that I won't be voting. My company is currently a tenant in the basement of that building, although that tenancy will be ending soon because they're going to redevelop this project, which is a great thing, but I will not vote on abstaining from everything.
Okay.
Okay?
Kara?
I just wanted to know when the change in the calculation of the pilot has changed because the correct school district tax rate was used, so the pilot numbers have changed slightly. It's a lesser, the tax rate is lower in that school district.
Yeah.
Is that what's reflected on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the, okay.
Yes. Okay, Jeff?
Oh, just
anything you wanna add?
very briefly, this is repeating myself to those who were at the last meeting, but for anybody who may have joined online for someone that wasn't here. This is a project that has gone through a couple of different iterations of attempts. The city applied for and received on behalf of developer a Restore New York grant, which we applied to this or will be hopefully applied to this project. The owner's also seeking some historic tax credits, federal and state tax credits. The real challenge in this particular project was that a lot of these things take several years to capitalize the benefits they have. And so, you know, as this body knows, our typical pilot, I say typical standard, so what we begin with is a 7-year pilot. This was cut to 5 years, simply because what we're really trying to do is to get them through this, or over this hurdle, this short-term hurdle, until they can sort of work up to full taxation in a relatively short period.
Yeah, and to add to what Jeff has said, I think it's maybe even the third time that we've seen this project come before us. It is a critical historic building and on a very important street. And there's been so much focus over the last several years on South Street and downtown. But this body in the past has said that one of the streets that we felt needed some attention in the city was Maple Street, not just this building, but Maple Street in general. And so from that respect, I think it's good for us to be able to do something on this street and help bring some redevelopment in this area that we had been concerned with. But yes, it is a historic property. It's eligible for both state and federal historic tax credits, as well as the Restore grant. And yes, we've been involved for a long time. So, thanks, Jeff. Anything else?
Can I speak?
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know how this works, it's the first one
Tell
I've
your
done.
name.
So yeah, my name is Brian George, I'm the superintendent at Glens Commons School District.
Great.
I guess the program, I guess the only concern that the school district has is just with the pilot program, that obviously we're talking about housing units, and therefore these housing units will more than likely probably house students, which then will require education, which there's a cost associated with that. And what's being outlined in kind of the pilot program doesn't even touch what a cost to educate a child would be. So I guess that would be the concern with the school district, and I don't know if there's any way to, with these programs, again, I'm kind of new to a lot of this, but I guess that's what our concern would be. So I mean, just a regular ed student costs about $8,000 a year. So we only be getting $11,000 over the first 5 years. That wouldn't even cover one student. We tuition our kids to Glens Falls City School District, so a regular ed student at Glens Falls costs $11,000, just under $12,000 a year. That's for a regular ed. A low need special ed is $20,135, and a high need special ed student is $29,124 that we pay a year per student, and we average about 120 students over there. So just that would be the only concern, is that the school district would not be receiving the funds that they would need to educate these children, especially if they're students that require
And that's why we have added, making sure you're included in these decisions, which is good. But the demographics that they are proposing is only 1 2-bedroom unit, and the rest being 1-bedroom units and one studio. So we didn't believe it was gonna have a huge influx on your population, but we wanted.
Yes, no, I appreciate that, thank you very much.
And also, it's just a 5-year pilot, and in the beginning, they're paying what is the existing tax. What we're doing is putting, the pilot really benefits the cost of the rehabilitation of that unit. And so we're not adding the tax on to that added value of the building, if you will.
Okay.
But let me ask you this, is the school district interested in having properties near you in better condition?
Absolutely.
And full?
Oh, absolutely.
So to have it occupied in general and to have it repaired would be a positive?
Oh, of course.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And the school district, like you said, with the pilot, isn't getting less money, right? Because that pilot, that would stay the same. So the tax dollars incurred currently in A1 district will not go
Will not
down,
change, okay.
right? But it will go up in 5 years.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One other quick question I have was for Superintendent. It's interesting that in some ways your concern is for if you have multi-bedroom units, then you have potential students.
Sure.
It was funny because I had an interesting conversation with Superintendent Dengler.
Yeah.
And her concern is almost the opposite, where her concern is that there's not enough multi-bedroom units being created, and so there are no students going into those. And so it's just an interesting sort of contrast in that, she was saying, well, I'm concerned that there's all these 1-bedroom apartments going in and not more 2-bedrooms, which are going to get students. And of course, the same issue would hold as far as the tax benefits immediately accruing to them. But the longer term issue is, are you sort of losing
Enrollment.
well, yeah.
Yeah, it's that fine balance, because there's a benefit, because obviously we will receive state aid on the children that are coming, but that doesn't cover the full cost. So our school districts run on 2 things. We run on state and federal aid, and then we run on our tax base, and that's our revenue, that's what we have. So while there is the benefit of having increased enrollment, which increases state and federal dollars, but the difference is made up in the taxes. So that's where. So there is a benefit to having more students. Of course, we want more students. We always want more students. But with that being said, there's a cost to those students. So that's.
And the next project that we're doing is just down the street.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna be talking about that in a minute. But one of the things that we found from South Street is that when we start doing some of these deals, other things come to life. And so we hope that by doing these 2 projects in this neighborhood, that we might see other properties come back to life. And so we also are focused on that, and you may see more projects that you may want to come and discuss with us. Because of this.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a lifelong Glens Falls. I've lived in Glens Falls since I was 12 years old. I lived down the street from Mayor Collins for 20 years. So I'm very familiar. I lived in the east end of Glens Falls basically my entire life. So I'm here. I did convert and I moved to South Glens Falls now. I know I'm a
We'll forgive you.
So no, obviously development, and especially in the East End, is very close to my heart and something I'm in full support of. It's just, like I said, we do just have to keep in mind, just kind of looking, there's $30 million worth of assessed value in the east end of Glens Falls that is tax exempt. And so, when we looked at that, and now most of that is owned by the city and Eastfield, and I get all of that, but $30 million that could be going to the school district, not all of that, but the tax base, that's a good chunk of change that obviously we could do a lot for our kids and the school district. So that's just something to keep in mind, that as we look at development in the East End, we're all for, and the more kids, the great, but also just keeping in mind that there's already a lot of properties in the East End of Glens Falls that are receiving pilot or exempt, and that's money that could be benefiting our students and our children, that's all.
Well, please stay in touch with us on these issues, because I think there'll be more coming forward.
Great.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, we're not.
I'll be quiet now.
No, we need that input.
Anybody else else want to have anything to say? Any questions, comments? Anything online, Pete? No? Okay. I'm gonna move on to the next project, and we're gonna keep the board meeting keep going, or I'm sorry.
The public hearing?
Public hearing, keep going. Tom, thank you.
Yes.
You'll stay for the vote, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And Tyler Frontek. And so, this is our first, public hearing with Tyler. And this is, 76 Lawrence Street is the address, and it's Cooper Properties, New York, LP. And people probably know it, better as the former, Post-Star office building.
That's correct.
So, Tyler, thank you for joining us, and why don't you give a brief explanation of your project?
Yeah, absolutely. So good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us. So we acquired the property about a little over a year ago. The plan was never to convert to apartments. So we look for buildings that have significant deferred maintenance over time. As the Post-Star decreased their operations out of the building, it kind of fell apart a little bit. So we made the acquisition and plans to keep it as an office flex space use. We advertised it for about a year, a little over a year. And there was little to no interest from a lease standpoint. So we went back to the drawing board and ended up coming up with talking to some city residents and some politicians and community members, and there was a need for housing. So what we proposed today is 22 apartments with a 500 square foot commercial space. We're talking to a couple tenants right now. Don't have any leases in place, but we do have someone that's very interested. It's a mix of units, so it's 2 studios, and it's pretty much split down the middle, about 10 one-bedrooms and 10 two-bedrooms units, all on one floor. Again, there's no change to the existing footprint. Everything's within the current footprint. And we're just kind of modernizing the building facade, but matching, keeping the character of the neighborhood, the surrounding, brick assets.
And you've shared with us your architectural plans. Can you
Yes.
also just explain that you went before the planning board? and what's
Yep.
happening?
So we originally got approved for 33 units. We scaled down the project, looked at some costs, features, and it didn't make sense. So we scaled down the project. We went back to the planning board and we got approval about a month and a half ago now.
And you're holding basically the footprint of the building.
That's correct.
The envelope of the building is essentially.
That's correct. Yeah, we're just doing some where the commercial tenant will be. We're just doing some glass work on the outside, kind of bump out, but that's it.
And your parking.
Parking's all interior to the space. It's a large 7-acre parcel, so we have ample parking. There's been no complaints. We have green space, and the planning board gave full support of the project.
And I did check at the rodeo, the dirt was all removed. It's no longer stored
They
there.
moved it to the other side.
Falls Farm and Garden is taking it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So there's no dirt on it?
Okay.
No, not right now. So they took it out.
All good things.
Oh, that's
Well, it was actually downtown at the rodeo over the weekend, but now it's been moved back to Falls Farm and Gardens. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right, that was this weekend.
It was, yep, it was good occupancy, good fill. Anyway, I did want to know that. I've been a volunteer at the rodeo for many years, that's why I knew about the dirt.
Yeah, they pulled it out. I guess they were trying to get in touch with us, and they pulled it out before we even talked to them.
Okay.
So we were okay with them actually storing it there short term.
Okay. Well, the former owner of the Post-Star started the rodeo, that's why.
Yeah,
it
that's
was
what I
there.
remember.
Yep. Yeah.
So you have a pole barn with nothing in it?
Right now, it's empty.
Okay, get you some horses.
Right, I was just gonna say. Let's see what we can do.
Any comments? Go ahead.
Just gonna make a clarification, but the qualification is that, we're talking about this pole barn, the 7-acre parcel. The pile in question has been limited to the footprint of the property itself, right? The remainder of the 7 acres is still and will be taxed according to its assessed value going forward, unless they come for another project and need some help with it, an application then. But just to be clear that this pile is limited to the footprint of the current property.
In the IDA, as part of the IDA application, as part of these documents, we also have our pilot estimate that's included in here. And we went very carefully with Jeff and Kara and myself, as well as all of you guys, over these numbers. It's a much more complicated deal. We didn't have any kind of other government resources like Restore New York or historic tax credits to put into this deal, and the cost was extensive. And so what we've outlined here in order to make these numbers work is a 10-year pilot. And so that's what those numbers represent.
Yeah, just to follow up with that, you know, as I mentioned briefly in the last other public hearing that we're still open on, you know, it's important to have some flexibility to make sure that you have some ability to make sure that the project fits. But as everybody knows, on this body, you know, IDA support is an enabling mechanism, not an incentivizing mechanism. So when projects can't pencil without the support of the IDA, you know, as we've seen in many of these cases, this building has been, or this property has been underutilized. I won't say vacant because it's not been that long ago since the Post-Star was there. It's one of the reasons why, you know, the value of the property is not nothing, as many of these properties that we have are. You know, one of the challenges you have when you start with the base value, in some cases the base value is almost not there. That's not necessarily the case here. The other challenge that this project has is that in addition to the standard mortgage, there's also an additional loan that's on the property, a 10-year loan that's being paid back. This really makes the operating costs unsustainable without some support. So this is why we tried to match the length of the pilot to the period in which this additional, I don't know if you want to call it a bridge loan or a supplemental loan, is being recovered. And that was about the only way we could make this project work without substantial ongoing losses during the period that we're talking about this loan. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, full sense.
Okay. And so we're on Lawrence Street here, which is the street over from Maple, and we're in
Throw
the
a
same
stone, as my
neighborhood.
father would say, from one to the
From
other.
one to the other.
Great news for the East End.
I think for Poopies, for Lawrence Street Tavern, for the Shirt Factory, all of the, maybe even the dollar store. We're pretty happy to have this.
You know, it's interesting, sort of a sidebar that I saw just last week or the week before, a couple of other properties, sort of smaller but relatively large, you know, mixed-use properties one right next to Lawrence Street Tavern, and one right across the street from that. They're both some sort of commercial downstairs, upstairs potential apartments, and I've already had people contact me about those, whether they're brokers or developers. So you know, you can see how these things begin to sort of cascade, and we're hoping this will happen much the same way it's happened downtown in South Street. It's really great to see these things out in the, can't call them the hinterlands in a 4 square mile area, but in the neighborhoods.
And just for the record, the city is beginning a planning process for the East End, using the State Brownfield Opportunity Area that we're actually going to start on Monday next week in City Hall, that will cover planning process that will cover the entire area from Dix Avenue south to the river and from Glen Street all the way east to the city line. So it's a huge area that the city will begin to identify and want to support projects like these, right, to be able to increase the school capacity, population, but also to increase the population and the economic development of the east end of the city.
That space is almost the entire first ward.
Yes.
So, an opportunity area in the last area. I used to say the last downtrodden corridor was South Street, and now we'll say that the next investment is the East End.
Well, I do want to state too, for the record, that the staff and even myself and Kara spent a lot of time going over this project. Not only just comparing it to other similar projects to make sure that we're being consistent, but we were fairly confident that this project probably could not go forward if we didn't do this pilot. And so, we do want to see stuff done in this neighborhood.
Thank you for your investment.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay. Any other comments? We're probably adding some kids to the school district here, maybe.
You answered my question.
We got some bigger ones, we got some bigger units here. Okay, all right. There being no, well, I would like to do anything, Peter, online, any questions? No, nothing? Okay, so everyone, I think you all realize that we're also online and we do take questions that way as well. So, let's keep this, public hearing open, just in case someone else from the public comes, either online or in person, and then I'm gonna go back to the regular meeting, and then towards the end, we'll come back and we'll close this out. Okay, so if anything pops up in your head, the public hearing is still open. Okay. All right, so now, let's go to our administrative reports, and, I'll hand it right over to you, Jeff.
Yeah, not a great deal, though. As you know, we sort of met a couple of weeks ago, as sort of an interim meeting. But just a couple of quick things. One is, if anybody has driven by, who's been on Luzerne Road anytime recently, you probably saw this construction going on. So the Brew Coffee project has begun, and more than broken ground. They had sort of been fudging around for a little while, but they're really starting to work in earnest there. So they haven't been able to give us a date, but I'm thinking we'll probably, it's not going to be it's not a terribly complicated building that they're constructing. So I'm going to guess sometime maybe this spring, this project will be up and running. There's also, and I alluded to the interest that we've had. You know, there's been a flurry. You know, if you sort of look too closely at the last, let's say, year or so, you know, you've seen that we've had a number of projects that have come before the IDA. Whether it was Ryan Connor's building in Union Square, Chris Patton has been here. Of course, the Brew Coffee people. Now we're starting to look over in the East End. You know, these were sort of, there was a lot of sort of bunched up development prospects, right, from the very beginning when we were promising the construction on South Street, right? These things, people began sort of sniffing around. They take a long time, especially when projects aren't easily doable otherwise without help. You know, we tried to sort of piece together parcels or pieces of support. We've had this flurry, right? And much of this has been really the catalyst. Again, I use that term a lot. But the catalyst of South Street has sort of inspired a lot of these projects to move forward. They can just get that little bit of help that the IDA can offer. You know, there seems to be a little bit of a lull, so I don't imagine this pace is going to continue. But we're going to be obviously selective in trying to help projects, especially those that really, you know, can't make it over the hump without support. But we're looking for lots of different forms of support. One of the biggest ones, of course, in certain parts of the city is historic tax credits. But as you know, Judy, as well as anybody, and many of the board probably know, they are not easy. They're easy to qualify for if you're in a certain area. They're not necessarily easy to secure. You know, you typically need lawyers and accountants and
Lots of paper.
lots of
Lots
paper.
and lots
So
of paper.
they're a great tool, but they're not.
And the investors need to be interested in our area. And so, you know, the more we talk about what is going on in the area, the more investors will have interest. And then that tax incentive will be greater. The value of the tax incentive will be
That's
greater.
right.
Yes.
Well, and one of the things too is interesting to note is that, you know, those who are familiar with Glens Falls over a long period of time know sort of a handful of developers who've been here for a long time. Peter Hoffman, Mike Cavis, Ed Moore. You know, we're now starting to look at people, both, you know, Tyler and Morris Friedman, who are here along with Green Springs Capital out of Saratoga. So there's a lot of these other developers, of course, we know about Bonaccio, but some of these outside developers, select developers coming in, helping sort of, you know, improve the city and have a piece of the growth.
Are the developers staying in touch with you too after we give the pilot? Because it particularly, I think, Chris Patton's project on South Street, it'd be good to know if those commercial spaces have been rented. The last he reported to us, he had some letters of intent, and that would be good for this body to know, as well as Union Square
Sure.
too.
Yeah, no, I'll follow up with him. I talked to him sort of informally. He was in City Hall last week, but we didn't get a chance to talk about that. But yeah, I'll follow up with him and see. I do know that he's having some commercial space success. He's got about 6 spaces there, so it's going to be a little bit of a lift. It'll take a little bit of time, but he's got, I think, 2 or maybe 3 of those commercial spaces are, if not spoken for, at least there's more than passing interest.
And maybe not monthly, but maybe every couple months, if we could hear from Chris Patton and the guy from Union Square, Bonaccio, on how they're doing.
Yeah, what might be a good idea would be maybe even quarterly have, developers come in and just give us updates on where
Give
the
us a
projects are.
small update, yes.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, and then also, with Crew Coffee, getting, started on construction, maybe there'll be greater interest in our other lots down there, and
Sure.
we have an agreement with EDC Warren County to help us with that marketing, and so we should make sure, he's aware of what's going on. Yeah, okay, good.
The last thing, when you were talking about those historic tax credits, the thing that I thought was the most interesting to learn is the requirement to get the tax credit is it can be a huge burden and almost make it not worth it at times. It's worth it if you want to, but I mean, when you go through, when we did the tour of the buildings with Bonaccio on South Street, they having to save the wood flooring, the ceiling, the aluminum top that's literally 70, 80 years old, rotting, and you've got to find a way to either restore that or, I mean, that's amazing. The original wood windows at Sandy's, right? I can't believe they pulled it off, and they did, and it's truly amazing. But that to have you apply for the tax credit, but then to meet the burden of getting that tax credit is alone enough to make a normal person with regular pockets go, oh no, sorry, I can't do that. So what a great
That's why
opportunity.
it's a historic tax
I
credit.
know, it's
Right,
just great to
it's a
learn.
tax credit, right, there's a legislative purpose
Well,
behind
it's
it.
just great, it's fantastic, it's worth it, but it's kind of different in that it adds a level of depth to it that you don't understand. If you're a typical liberal Democrat and you stand outside and you go, I can't believe we're giving these tax credits, then you learn, well, my God, it's a great investment, we're all benefiting, the economic development is necessary, we need more housing, but you've got to have a special tolerance and a special ability to build those resources in.
And special investors, as you said,
special
not every
investors.
investor
No.
is interested in taking that long a time to recapture.
You look at it, the wood work and the flooring of that building that was the lingerie factory, right? And keeping that, and if it was stained, it stayed stained, right? And then you'll see the patch where he had to fill in what had rotted through, and then go right back to the restored wood. I'm like, oh my goodness, right? So it was something to watch.
Yeah,
Great
talking to
job.
developers who've used these, I'm not sure among them, but, it looks like it's a 40% tax rate, 20% federal, 20% state. But I said, what's the reality? They're like, maybe 10. I mean, you figure 10 is what you're really getting, because the cost of compliance is frequently so high. And, because I get these people that say 40% tax rate, their eyes light up, oh my God, that's like, this project's gonna cost me nothing. No. Talk to that guy.
Yeah.
Worth doing, but,
No, right.
and great for the community, because, you frequently say, oh, why did they have to tear that building down? Well, the way you get around that is things like this program.
And the Bonaccio project that's under construction on South Street where he's building affordable apartments, it's new construction, so that does not apply. However, that project has to follow the state guidelines for affordable housing, and that's gotta remain affordable for 50 years.
Isn't it
And
amazing?
so, yes, all of these tax credits, whether it's historic or other, brings great benefit, I think, to the community.
Without belaboring this point, and I know we don't want to move on, but, it's interesting too is that, Judy, I believe you had told me at one point, that HCR has pretty stringent aesthetic guidelines for housing projects. Well, when you are able to maintain the historic quality of neighboring buildings, you've elevated the aesthetic to which they have to conform, right? If you rip everything down and build all these you decide to build these sort of cookie cutter buildings, and you go, oh, well, I'm guessing they're gonna say, well, you gotta conform to this lesser standard. So it's sort of a rising tide lifts all boats aesthetically when you sort of follow along and when the community sort of pursues these kind of things, which Takes time and effort, but I think it's worthwhile.
And much stricter than anything that the city planning, anything that we have here. Those guidelines are fairly strict and good in terms of the square footage requirements, the open space requirements, window size, quality of product. It goes on, they're rather extensive.
Much more extensive than we have
Yes.
here.
So, anyways, all right. I have got nothing else to add to that. I'm gonna, unless we have questions or comments for Jeff or for me, I'm gonna move on to the minutes. We had 2 meetings in October. We have minutes from both the regular meeting held on October 9th and the special meeting held on October 28th. Any comments or questions on those? Everyone's got a copy and those will be posted online. Is there a motion to approve both minutes, October 9th and October 28th?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? There being none, those minutes are passed, and we'll get those posted and recorded, thank you. Martuni, 10-month, we're at 10 months for the year, ending October 31, 2025. What would you like to say?
Third quarter CEO wage, couple farm expenses, the rent for 3 months, $1,500, internet bill for $109, one legal bill for $80, and 40% of my hours in September for $297. That's it.
Any comments? Questions? We're getting ready for year end. You ready?
Ready?
Okay.
Audit-wise, the team wants a download of, which I'll do either today or over the weekend, a download of the financials to make sure there's no huge increases in any of the agencies.
Okay.
So I'll drop that off in a zip file to her this weekend.
Okay, very good, thank you. Glad that we're getting ready. Is there a motion to approve the financial report as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? There being none, the motion is approved. So let's go to Schedule A, the payment of bills. For this month, we have a total of $1,920.99, including a payment for Mark for our Charter One Communications, that's the Farm Internet Monthly, and 2 bills to Fitzgerald Morris Baker. Is there a word? Or Mr. Ferd? Sorry, Ferd.
Okay.
Peter.
Peter.
Is there a motion to approve, any comments or questions on Schedule A? There being none, is there a motion to approve the payment of the bills?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? There being none, the bills will be paid. Thank you. In terms of our project reports, before I go back to the public hearing, any further update on South Street Apartments that you want to add?
No, they're doing some construction, they were doing some construction on the street, they went to the sewer yesterday and today, they were, during the day, that block of South Street was closed, we did alert the neighboring businesses. During the day, they closed up at 4, and it should be done at 3:30 this afternoon,
So they're closed again today? And what about, is it Elm Street, is that opened up?
Well, Elm Street, not yet, but I
It was
know that.
opened yesterday, or part of it
It was,
open.
yes, what happened was, Chris Patton opened up part of Elm Street so you could bypass, and I discovered this when I was coming down Hudson Avenue, and all the traffic coming down Elm Street, sort of piling into the roundabout at 8 o'clock in the morning. But, wow, it's busy down here. So that will be closed. I know that he had gotten an encroachment permit extension for a couple of weeks, while he's trying to finish up the clearing out of, I think, the second floor of 4656. But we're hoping to have that open, I think it goes not quite to the end of the year, if I'm mistaken. So that should be open, that side of Elm Street should be open by then. We're still working with an outfit to see where we can get probably the south side of that street open. And part of that's needed for their buildings access.
The end of the month.
And the bundle.
Okay,
Well, that's good news.
okay.
I think it would be important for people to understand why that has been necessary for so long. Maybe a statement when it reopens, it
Sure.
would be a good idea.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
I was at the farmer's market on Saturday, it seemed like it was very, very busy for November.
I understand the heaters got put into?
Some of them were in, certainly it was a beautiful day on Saturday, so it was cool but not cold, some of them were on. It was very comfortable.
For our, up and working, but again, don't know how, if we have 4 cranking there, it will heat them out, so we go
Yeah.
from being too hot to too cold.
Well, Peter's there for a lot of meetings too, so maybe he
Yeah,
can tell us.
I know, we can give him the
Too
quote to
much.
control.
The heaters work.
That's all right.
Okay, all right, I think that's it on project reports other than the 2 projects, so I'm going back to the public hearing. And any other comments for the public hearing? Any online, Peter? Anything on public hearing?
Not from comments,
No? No, okay, no questions? No, okay, all right. So I am going to close down the public hearing, so thank you all for being here today. I don't think I need a vote to close the public hearing, do I? Kara, I can just close it, right?
Open more with a hearing. You can
Yeah.
Open with the resolution.
So we're gonna close the public hearing, and thank you all again. I'm going back to the Glens Falls Industrial Development Agency Board meeting, and for item number 4, project reports, we've just completed a review of 178 Maple Street. Any additional comments or questions on that? There being none, we have a proposed resolution in front of us to approve the pilot and other benefits for 178 Maple Street LLC. And is there a motion to approve this resolution as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
One
And
abstain,
one abstention? Any nays? One abstention? It passes. Item passes. Thank you very much. And Tom, you'll let Brian Green know so he knows that we're moving forward. We'll get everything signed today or later this week, and we'll get those documents to you.
Great, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Next item is 76 Lawrence Street, and this is Cooper Properties, New York, LP, former Coast Star building. Any additional comments or questions on this? There being none, there's a resolution before the body that offers the pilot and other benefits, including sales tax exemption and mortgage tax exemption. Is there a motion to approve that resolution as presented? Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? There being none, the motion is passed. We'll get those documents signed. Tyler, thank you.
Thank you.
And we will get everything to you probably later this week. There is no other business, I believe, to come before the body. Our next meeting will be December 11th at 8 a.m. here at this location. Let's see, I think that's it, guys. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you all. Yay. Okay, I am gonna give up my glasses.
Just quickly, just prior to the meeting, I did hear a little bit of discussion, just kind of about like consolidation and things like that. I'm happy to have those discussions with anybody or whoever. So, please, if that's a separate meeting or a separate thing, but I'm happy to discuss that and kind of give the perspective of our Board of Education and our community, just so that all of that information is kind of accurate and kind of on both sides of that. So if that's ever something that would be useful or anything that you guys.
I mean, none of
That's
these
not us.
boards really,
Right.
it's Chris Degler and the superintendent really, if you guys want to meet and talk about it, I know she let us know that, I don't know where it was that that I read that the state has more money than ever to merge those, but that's all that I know.
Sure,
And
sure.
that conversation comes up every time that I talk to Chrislyn about these pilot agreements, right? And so that, but other than that, it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
something that
Yeah, yeah.
neither the government nor the IDA or the
Right,
LDC.
right.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
It was just a quick, and I just, I just wanna, I would just like to give that perspective of kind of where we come from on, and just so that everything is kind of accurate and it's all out on the table, that's all.
Great,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
So Brian actually is also on the steering committee for the East End project that I talked about.
Oh, great.
So Brian
Great.
is one of the steering committee members.
Great.
Awesome, right.
So, awesome.
That-
Thank you so
that's-
much. Yeah.
That's the best news as far as.
Yeah,
is that, You know, that, moving forward, knowing that the school district is bought in and part of that and understanding the value of
Absolutely.
investing in the East End. I'm glad to hear that, and that was something that I did, think of when you said it earlier, so.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, so I'll see you.
We'll see you
Great,
Monday.
great to see what,
Yeah.
you know, nothing could make it better. If we continue the investment in Glens Falls, right down to the east end. Know that I've asked the governor for $6 million for Eastfield. But that and a nickel won't get me a cup of coffee, but want you to know that that I as mayor, and we as a city government have really, we need to invest in.
Absolutely.
That's the next
Yeah,
turn, right?
absolutely, no, and the school district is in full support, we just wanna make sure that we have the money to.
Oh,
educate
sure,
our kids.
that's great. Thank you.
So,
Brian.
yes, thank you, appreciate it.
Let's see, so good morning. Let's open up the Glens Falls Local Development Corporation to Distill Thursday, November 13th. And we have we'll call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. We have our key staff and advisors. Thanks everyone for being here. Let's see, administrative reports. We have approvals and revolutions too. Minutes to our regular meeting held October 9th. Are there any corrections or changes that the meeting might need? If not, do we have a motion to approve the October 9th meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. Under financial reports, we got 10 months ending October 31st. Mark?
One legal bill for 112, the CEO third quarter for 1,625, and my September hours 60% for $445. That's it.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments for Mark? If not, we have a motion to approve the financial report.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. Under payment of bills, we'll go back to you. Oh, there we go. All right. It's my office calling you, it's probably looking for me. Financial reports, Mark, we'll back to you, please, sir.
Two Fitzgerald bills, one for $320, the other for $288. Travelers insurance for annual crime insurance for $118, and October 60% of my wage for $459. Total $1,185.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mark. Any questions about the payment of bills? Do we have a motion to approve the, pay the bills?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I have a report that I give to you at the end regarding 36 Inc., but we'll wait until we're done with the other reports. So 36 Inc., Jeff, did you have anything?
Just to, as I think you all know, we did get a bid to move forward on the build-out of that facility. We received IDA documents to begin the general contractors. Because of Wick's law, of course, we had to separate the general contracting and the EP work, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. That bid is out, currently open out, and we're looking for bids to come back, I think within the next week or so. So it'll be somewhat behind, which won't really make too much difference, but we're hoping to be under construction, GC construction at least by the end of the month as well.
Any other, any questions for Jeff on this report? So that did pass, so the The layout of the building is good, but the mechanical and electrical and plumbing goes second, and we're hoping to, I think, actually have those in by the end of this week and get them on the council, so at the next meeting, which is, I think, the 24th or the 25th of this
Yeah.
month.
You know, we had we had set up a kind of a separate committee or so to help advise us on that, and one of them was Maureen Chase. I'm wondering if we're keeping her informed or of those design elements, because she was pretty helpful.
She's aware of the design, I don't, obviously, this is not just a build out.
Right,
No, no,
this
okay.
is just the bid.
Yep, gotcha.
And we need to thank them for that work too, Maureen and the gentleman
The
from
the
Taste.
From Seasons.
SUNY.
Yes, they were both very helpful to us in
Jeez, I
that.
just stepped all over that. Thank you to SUNY Adirondack.
Team effort.
Appreciate it, yes, it was. So I wanted to, under reports then is, and I think I just want to make sure what else we got. So, let me, I'll come back, if you don't mind, I'd like to come back to 36 Inc. when we're done with our, the rest of our business. So, let's see, Crew Coffee, let's go to that one.
Just what I mentioned, but they're just underway right now. Under construction.
They flattened the land.
They did?
They
Okay,
turned.
good.
All right. It's great to see development in
Yes,
that,
yes, it is.
area. And then Jeff, Katie's Wine and Whiskey Bar.
Yeah, this is just a small SBS application. This is a business that's gonna be moving into the corner, right across from Hot Shots, in Chris Patton's building. We've been sort of trying to focus on retail support for the small business program. The one exception I sort of made here was that they, in a sense, we've supported a number of restaurants. There's a lot of restaurants downtown who've gotten support, not just downtown, but we've gotten support from the LDC through this program and through the GF Drive program. The one thing about this that they were sort of focusing on, that they were looking for some help, is I guess you'd call it, for want of better terms, of a wine preservation piece of equipment that's fairly expensive and fairly unique, which allows them to get very expensive wines and keep them for long periods of time. And so it was a little over the, so this one piece I thought gave them a little bit of separation from just a standard restaurant. Felt like it was something that the LDC could support.
But it's not going to be retail, it's more like a tasting.
Yeah, no, it's a tasting,
Right.
wine and whiskey tasting bar.
So they can open the wine and close it back up and keep
And
it.
Well, or they
Like
somehow,
not for very.
Right,
it's something like this where they can open several bottles, serve these sort of
Yeah.
however, and it keeps them, which.
And you can kind of recork it back to its.
Right,
Correct.
and not lose its value.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it one of those things that's in the wall, that it's a
Yes.
bottle and they sample it
Yes.
and then you just take it?
Correct.
Good. Well, I've seen those before.
You've seen
Pretty cool.
And you always have
Will
them.
we do
And
you
they're-
go there?
Absolutely.
And you can take it.
You won't be able to not go there.
So, and the issue is that not only is it very specialized, it's also very expensive. We're not talking about a $300 chest cooler that you pull beer out of, so.
The little vacuum.
Up to 10,000.
Up to $10,000, we'd be looking at half of that for us.
We should go and test it.
We can't test it until they have it, they can't have it unless we have
They
it.
did reference that there was one place, I think, in Saratoga, I think there's others, but they have to, one that have to,
Jump over.
I can find out.
Yeah, that's a nice place too.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that place as well.
Oh, what's the name of
Wine
that?
bar.
Yeah.
What is the name of that? On Broadway?
Wine bar.
I think it is.
That's
That's clever.
Oh, I can.
We have an application.
Right.
Is there a resolution to approve this?
We have a resolution.
There is a resolution,
Yeah,
in the packet.
it's in the paper.
Okay.
Yep, to approve up to $10,000, a project up to $10,000 where we would support half, so up to 5. And again, it's a small project, but it's a very unique project, as we've all just talked about, so.
Can I ask, is our resolution worded such that if their cost goes over 10, our resolution is of no
It
value?
is not.
Okay, thank you.
It is up to 5, it is up to $10,000 for the unit and up to $5,000 for our support.
So if the cost of the unit goes to $11,986, is our resolution moot?
No, we're
No,
not giving
no,
them
no.
five.
No.
Understood, but I'm just saying, so just to make sure everyone understands that their cost could be anything, we're
Sure,
only
understood,
funding.
yeah,
right.
Okay,
It says in the resolution that their cost of 10,000 is the minimum.
yeah, that's what, thank you.
And our cost of 5,000 is the
Maximum.
maximum.
It's the maximum, yes.
Just wanted to make sure, we
Okay.
were all on the same page.
With that clarification, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
And I will make a field trip there.
I'll
Don't forget to
I'll get back to you.
So I wanted to, as Jeff had reported, we now have the plan, all the designs for the build out of our 36, our market. I want to remind you all that there's 3 components to our market. There's basically 2 commercial kitchens. A commercial kitchen that'll be isolated in the back that can be rented day and night to help grow businesses that need commercial kitchens and don't have them on their own, so they can proof of concept and hopefully grow their business. We're told by those same folks that helped us design that there is a great need for this. And we believe that we should be able to rent this out fairly inexpensively. We want to get our break even in this building as quickly as we possibly can. Anyway, there's 2 kitchens. One's more mobile that can be used as a teaching kitchen and help people to do instruction and maybe demonstrate people to rent out and grow their restaurants or businesses that way. And then this commercial kitchen that can be rented. So that is all included in this contract that just went out. And then the plumbing and the electrical and the mechanical is coming soon. Those are the last 2 fit outs of this building. About 6 months ago, I believe that you all know, so the 3 components, before I get into it, the 3 components are the commercial kitchens, the market itself, and wayfinding and marketing project. We have been meeting with Taste New York for quite some time now. And as everything in New York or in government, it goes really slowly. But Taste New York is very excited about at least as far as they're concerned. They love the idea, they love the site. We shared with them the diagrams and everything, so they are in support, think it's a great idea, and love that it's part of the DRI. They have suggested that you can use any subcontractor at Taste New York, like if a group of us wanted to, not that we are, but if a group of us wanted to run this kitchen or run the kitchen or the market, we could apply to Taste New York and they give you a license to do that. Their favorite right now, or their preferred, I'll say, vendor is Cornell Cooperative Extensions. There are other not-for-profits that do Taste New York's, but majority are done by Cornell Cooperative Extension. And their suggestion was to us to go to Binghamton to meet the folks that have most of the contracts, about 11 of them, to run Taste New York's throughout the state. Jeff and I and Jim Thatcher and Paul Ganoyu, the communications director, took a road trip last Saturday to Binghamton. We got to see the commercial kitchen that they're actually building another commercial kitchen. Their commercial kitchen is so busy that they're building another one at about a cost of $1.5 million. And it's about half the size of this room we're in. So we're feeling very good about what we're doing. They've seen and we talked to them about our plans and they agree. This sounds great to them and it's right up their alley. And then we toured their market there, and then we went out to, we took a quick drive to Pennsylvania, turned around and came back into the Welcome Center.
Was that
did.
on purpose?
It was on purpose.
Just wondering.
They wanted us to
Knowing the
see
personalities involved in this road trip.
the market that they have there at the Cornell Cooperative Extension headquarters is small, is probably maybe just the size of this room. And they felt that we should go and see the larger Taste New York that they're running out at the Welcome Center coming in from Pennsylvania. And so it's amazing. They actually have wayfinding that is very similar to what the idea is that we have. We were able to go there. It says you're here, you press it, you understand what's going on locally. But then we noticed that there was, right up by Glens Falls, a couple of balloons on the wayfinding. And we touch it, and there is Cooper's Cave. So you can see what they offer at Cooper's Cave. I don't know why, but there's Cooper's Cave and Davidson Brothers that I was able to look up immediately, standing in that welcome area about our region. And so it's exactly what we were kind of hoping that we would have here. So we at that meeting that we had with them, they invited the Warren County Cornell Cooperative Extension Executive Director, a gentleman named, anybody help me? John Bo. Thank you. And John is meeting with his board of directors in Warren County this week. And we have a couple Warren County supervisors that are on John's board, and one is Ben Driscoll. Spoke to Ben Driscoll. Everybody thinks this is a great idea, but they have to obviously with their board approve that. I would like to ask, so now the time is for us to think about a budget that it looks like, hoping, I'll know probably I think by the end of the week, if Cornell Cooperative Extension Warren County is interested in entering into a negotiation with us to run the commercial kitchen and the kitchens and the market. And so I would like to ask for an ad hoc committee of this group to start to put a budget together of what the costs are. We know that we've signed a 10-year lease. The LDC has signed a 10-year lease to rent this facility at about $70,000 a year. And then we need to get ready to do a budget of what we can afford, and hopefully the goal that we've all been talking about, I just kind of want to remind you where we are, is that the goal is to break even and then start to get our money back out of this market within 3 years, right? And so we said 3 to 5 is what we kind of talked about. So we need to, I think now that we're talking about contracts, that I'd like to get an ad hoc committee together.
So this follows on the conversation that we had last month when we talked about the budget, when we put the budget.
That's
out,
correct.
the proposal, that there was a discussion in the recommendation that you know, that we look a little closer into the 36 acre, and this is the perfect opportunity to take that opportunity, basically, to take the ballpark estimate that we created and to really kind of refine it now that the mayor, as the mayor said, that we've kind of moved forward with, you know, one of the, what could be one of the main portions of this project.
So Taste New York must have an investment number, and Cornell Cooperative Extension must have a base number.
And we're gonna have those numbers.
Before, I mean, there's no point in budgeting until we know what they're doing. So I think, you know, just no point.
Just want to form the committee, and I'll have you some numbers. We talked about numbers, but we need to make sure Warren County, Cornell Cooperative Extension is in agreement, and so we should know that.
I saw Ben Driscoll raise this with me in their meeting this week, and they're gonna have those numbers.
As part of their meeting, yeah, right, because, you're
Operating on the 17th, is that
Early next week.
Yeah, is it early next week?
I think it's
Sorry.
right.
Yep. So I just wondered if maybe late next week or the week after that would make us the last week of.
You're in Thanksgiving.
I know. Well, can I get you to make a committee and then to talk with Mark amongst yourselves and pick a date sometime in November to meet?
So we do have an audit and a governance committee. I'm wondering if you wanna just use one of those to do this.
Well, we could, it just,
I
it
think
seems
it
to
should
me
be
like.
standalone.
Yeah, it
Right.
seems like it didn't fit.
This is ad hoc,
Okay.
this isn't,
All right,
right? This
Yeah.
isn't,
yep.
yeah, this
And
is.
the bylaws,
Yes,
the bylaws say that we can, that you as a board can
Right.
create a, you know, not a standing, well, I don't know if you can create a standing committee or not, but you can create a committee to do a specific task
Absolutely.
Yep.
at any time.
Okay.
So those who are not math averse, all step forward.
I'll step
And-
forward.
And three's not very easy. You got it. You got it.
And there you go. Judy,
I will serve on it.
I know.
thank you. Denise?
Great.
You, and Mark,
I'm
okay,
great, man.
there we go. So there's the three, and so I'll ask you all to have conversations amongst yourself about your schedule and include Mark. And what, if I can get you, I'll get you the information of what those numbers might be, what might look like. And also for the third part, we will approach somebody with marketing and wayfinding experience, local person in Glensville's local company, and try to understand, because that is the one thing that Cornell Cooperative Extension does not have any experiences in and is not. And so I'll get you those numbers as well as we approach them. My goal would be in your this December meeting, for us to have contracts in front of you and the budget from the committee suggestion, and hopefully for your passing. We're hoping to open this building by the end of the first quarter in 2026. I think,
Yes, I interject a comment for the record, so I think, and I think most of the board members know this, but just to reiterate again for the record, that having someone like Cornell Cooperative Extension operate the kitchen and the market, they would be responsible for hiring, staffing, training the workforce. I mean, certainly we can bring in internships and things from other entities like SUNY Adirondack and Warren County, but it takes a big burden off of this body, whereas you're now oversight and you're paying on that contract, but they're actually operating it day to day. I mean, they are hiring, and they are backed by Cornell University and Cornell Cooperative Extension statewide in terms of programming, things they can bring to the facility that are not offered here, even through Warren County at the moment. So Warren County CCE would be supported by statewide Cornell Cooperative Extension, which gives it a vast depth of resources that we just finding a market operator wouldn't have.
Right.
And certainly wouldn't have on our own, so.
yes, which is why we're not forming a committee of people wanting to run a market.
But that's why this pathway has been somewhat convoluted and sort of off the record, but we've been getting to a point where we can get this in place in a way that doesn't make it look like it's a city venture, and some of the criticism months ago that are pretty unfounded as to how this thing would operate and how it positions itself. This is a very unique facility with a lot of possibilities that people don't even realize, to function there until this kind of plays out.
I think it's good too that we have local people on that board that are already involved in this.
Yeah, I think
That was good to hear.
Yeah, and Ben Driscoll's very excited about it. I have not been able to reach, also on the board, but I think they get one vote. There's 4 Warren County supervisors on the board, but only one vote between them. And Ben is the chair of that, and so that's great news. But I'll try to also reach Dan Bruno, who's been a supporter of the DRI and everything, and Haley Gilligan are also on those Glensville's representatives on that board. So I think anybody that we've explained this to, and that we are trying to make this, the only reason that we're doing this is to promote local business, local farmers, help them grow their business, to truly be the incubator that this building had aspirations to be 25 years ago. That is what this is, and that the first thing that Cornell, the gentleman from Warren County, and they said is they would help us go to our local businesses and see if any one of them, all of them, one at a time, do they want to offer a product or more there?
Right. So my understanding is that as part of our wayfinding, we'd be promoting businesses like Cooper's Cave here, but they also, if they wanted to sell their ice cream there, or their beer, or their soda there, they would be able to do that in addition to their market.
Absolutely. And the way when we had the 3 subcommittees, I'll remind you that they haven't met in a while, but we had those original 3 subcommittees. Their idea was to make a circle of preference by circumference from the downtown Glens Falls area. So go to those businesses first that are local and offer them an opportunity to carry products. And there is some, all restaurants should easily qualify because they all have, as a restaurant, they are a commercial kitchen. So if they wish to package those products, and they can fairly easily put those, whatever products they like in this kitchen and will meet that requirement. And if they don't meet it, they can rent our commercial kitchen and package it right there and then put the product in. So they'll have that opportunity, and we'll go, if, you know, we get 2 ice cream makers that are in Glens Falls and they want to put their ice cream in, great, then we don't have to get any more ice cream, right? We go out, but there's not anybody who makes cookies. And so the next thing you know, as you go further and further out that circle, nobody wants the chocolate chip cookies Tate's out of Long Island is a Tate's New York vendor that you see all over. I bought some in Binghamton, so that would be an opportunity for Tate's to be offered in Glens Falls. But you're going to try to get local bakers to go there first, and as long as they're in New York State, they can be in
And
this.
could it be structured in such a way too, that it could be open on Saturday when the farmer's market is open? So that the people from the farmer's market, if they need help or assistance, or they want to bring product over that they haven't sold yet, that was one of our original goals, that to have that open on Saturday would be critical.
Absolutely. I think that the current conversation that we had in Binghamton last weekend was that you started out by filling this thing, doing Thursday, Friday, and Saturday open only. And the reason they didn't suggest that we did Sunday is because they're struggling to staff their own markets on Sundays and find employment. But I think we start with 3, and then as you fill it and it grows and Glens Falls continues to prosper, then you open more days as it can. And that's why you got Cornell helping you manage and market and make those decisions with you, so that it's not being made by somebody who's never run a market before. So, yeah.
Carrie, just a point of order, we don't need to have a vote on the creation of that ad hoc committee, correct?
I mean, yeah, I would.
We should.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
So then to wrap that up, we have a motion to create an ad hoc committee to look at developing a potential budget, a 3-year or 5-year budget for this facility. And we have volunteers of Judy, Denise, and Mary on that committee to work with Mark Toomey, our accountant. Do we have a motion to create that committee?
So move?
Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's great news. We're very excited.
Got a closing meeting.
Yes, not having any other business in front of the local development corporation, entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Second? All in favor? Any opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.
It's just literally moving numbers without any real money change.
Yeah.
But again,